Hi, thanks for stopping by our page today. I'm Pete, and we're going to be continuing on with our front axle extensions. We're going to get those cleaned up. And then we're also going to continue on with the engine, getting that cleaned up and get everything ready to paint. We're going to start, as we disassemble things, we're going to get things painted and start at the front of the tractor and work our way back and get everything kind of cleaned up, taken apart, anything that we see we need to fix, we're going to fix. I know once we get to our dashboard, all the gauges, we have a brand new set of gauges for it. On the engine, I don't know if you've noticed in the pictures so far, but the tach didn't have an hour meter in it. And it's some kind of electric drive rather than a cable drive. And looking at the manuals, it shows that this is supposed to be a cable drive. Off the back of the hydraulic pump, there's a cable that goes up to the tachometer and the hour meter, or the proof meter. So we're going to get that cleaned up. If anyone has a little more insight into that and know why this one has an electronic rather than the cable, please let me know down below in the comments. Like I said, this is the first time I've worked with a Ford tractor, so it's a great learning experience for me, and hopefully as we go through this, some of the things we come across will be helpful for anybody else going down this same path. So what we're going to get started with right now is just on these front axle extensions. We're going to start cleaning some things up. And what I got a new grinder because my other grinder went bad on the international truck. So we got a brand new grinder that we can burn up on this one. So before we start hitting it, this is a twisted knot wire brush, and I love these things for cleaning. But one thing I don't want to do, there's grease on here that's kind of caked on, and I don't want to just throw that everywhere. So before hitting it with the wire wheel, I think we'll just get in here and knock off some of the big pieces. I know our sandblaster likes that too, and we have a bead blaster, and it just makes a whole lot of difference when you kind of pre-clean the part and get the big pieces off. There we go. And then definitely get the grease. And then we want to be careful. There's a grease zerk right here, and we want to make sure that we're being careful around that. We don't want to break that off. Yeah, kind of on the farm property side of things, we've been talking to several realtors in different areas. I think in the first video I made, I had said that we'd been looking kind of in northern Utah because my wife's entire family's from Utah. So, but it seems like not just there, but in other places around the country, they are eliminating a lot of farmland, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because food's got to come from somewhere. Unless they're just thinking about importing it all from somewhere else. But, so we've been talking to several realtors, and we are looking at some property kind of or properties, nothing in particular, but in far northern California, still a couple places in northern Utah, southern Idaho, western Wyoming, places like that. So the search for the right property is still ongoing, but it's going to be a little while before we actually move. and start the actual farmland. But that's what's given us the time to get all of our equipment in order, so that when we do relocate, we will own all of our equipment outright, and it'll all be rebuilt and clean and ready to go. Okay, so I think that's most of the big chunky stuff. There we go. All right. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, you can see that's really cleaning up nice. This was the backside, and the wishbone came out here. So this was all kind of sealed in, but it is looking pretty good. It's not very rusty. We'll take a round file and just kind of clean up the bores on here. But everything's looking pretty good. Oh, that's right. One thing I wanted to do here before getting too far along on this is I want to get this bearing out so we don't get it dirty and covered in dirt and dust. We'll put that over here on the bench. There we go. Yeah, these are the numbers here: 48, 52, 56, 60. Looks like 64 and 68. So for the different widths of the track width. All right. That is looking a whole lot better now. We'll take a file, a flat file, and just kind of clean up any of the burrs along here. But I think overall that's in pretty good shape. Pretty happy with that. Let's see. We're just going to knock down any kind of high spots. You can see there's a little high spot there. Because when we put this back together, we want these pieces to mate up perfectly flat. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. All right, so one of the last things, we got 2 more steps on this. I just want to run a rat tail file in here in these bores and make sure that we clean out any kind of gunk or corrosion or rust that has built up in there. This is the one that bolt was seized in. But it feels pretty good. I don't really feel any pitting or anything in there. All right. And then the last thing I want to do here is brush in some Pour 15. Pour 15 is a really good additive that encapsulates rust. And I've used it on a bunch of old cars that I've done. I used it on the International frame when we did that. And it kind of seals the rust so that it can't oxidize any further than it already is. There's several other, I'm not obviously sponsored by Pour 15. I've been using it for years and it works really well. But nowadays there's other additives that kind of do the same thing. I've even seen that some of them come in an aerosol can now. So if you're dealing with some rust, you know, obviously if things are rusted out, rusted through, you're going to have to fix it. But in a case like this where you just have surface rust, you can eliminate as much of the crusty rust as you can. Anything loose, anything that flakes off, you want to get rid of. But anything that's a little more solid, you can encapsulate it with one of these rust inhibitors or rust sealers. Like I said, I've used this for years on old cars that we've restored and made it so that the rust won't get any worse. So once one coat is enough, as long as you don't have any, you know, light spots or any places that you missed, but one coat is adequate. And yeah, so there we go. So it's the next morning. We're going to continue on with our axle extensions, but our wheel seals just got in. So I am going to, that's the bearing that we packed in the earlier video, and we got our new seals. And let's see, yeah, that looks like it's going to fit a lot better. Those other ones were just a little bit too far out. They were too big. There we go. There we go. That one looks fantastic. So I'm going to put this off to the side. And the next thing we're going to do on these extensions, so we got that pour 15 in here and it's nice and dry. I got some up on the edges, and I think the easiest way to clean that off is with a soft wheel on the grinder. You just got to be really careful because some of these, this one's not very aggressive, but some of these can get pretty aggressive and take away material. So we're just going to clean off this surface lightly without taking off any of the metal. Just like that. I think that'll look pretty good. I found that with the pour 15, if you hit it with a file, it'll really gum up the file and you won't be able to clean the file. It'll just gum up so much. There's a little more I think I want to do right here. There we go. All right. So I don't know if you can see, but it's pretty cold. So I think I'm going to hold off on painting these, and maybe this afternoon I'll see if it's a little bit warmer. I do have heat lamps for the paint booth area, but I'm also worried about the moisture. It's been raining here on and off, and it's very cold right now, and I don't know if we're going to get snow or if it's just going to rain some more. But with all the moisture in the air, I don't have a climate controlled paint booth. It's just a small little booth that I made. And there's not, I've got the heat lamp, but I don't have a dehumidifier or any way to control the humidity in it. So we'll see how it goes this afternoon. I'll get the other one taken care of, and then we'll hopefully get these in the paint booth either this afternoon when it warms up or maybe tomorrow. It's actually 2 days later. The next day, which was yesterday, it rained quite a bit, so we didn't get a chance to do much of anything. But we were able to get things painted. So we're going to start assembling our front end extension with the kingpin spindle assembly, and put the top link on. All right, so we've got our kingpin spindle assembly, and we're going to remove all the blue tape from painting this. And one thing I was able to do, I went over this shaft assembly with a little bit of emery cloth, some very fine emery cloth, and make sure that all the surfaces are nice and clean and ready to go. And this thing looks like it's been pretty well taken care of. I always, whenever I get, whether it's a car or a truck or now a tractor, I always like, before really putting it to service, I like spending a little bit of time and going through it and making sure that everything is in good shape. Like I had said one of my other videos, we're not doing a show restoration on this. We're going to go through, and first things first, we're gonna, they told us it ran good. I want to get it running, and do what we need to do in the meantime to get all of the anything that we take off, we're going to clean and paint. I really wanted to look at this front end before really going too far deep into it. One of the problems when I bought this, they said that there was something wrong with the steering, and that was one of the reasons why they parked it a couple years ago. But I have a feeling that the problem is in the steering box and not, obviously these all look fine. All the tie rod ends look fine. There we go. All right. So we've got our bearing, and I've cleaned it up. And so I'm going to use some moly grease, some regular moly inside of here. So we want to make sure that the inside is coated well. And then once we put this in, we're going to put some on, this is a radial bearing. So this inside part spins independent of the outside. So once we put it together, we'll put some on this surface. All right, now we've got our extension. And I did check out these bushings really closely with a flashlight and some super magnifier glasses, and everything looked really good. So I don't think we're going to have to really do anything with them, fortunately. Like I said, the thing that I was told was, just kind of a generic, there's something wrong with the steering. But like I said, it's obviously not in any of these components. So on the spindle assembly, we've got these two little wings right here. One here and right here. And they kind of work in concert with this big finger here, so that limits the travel of how sharp this goes. So before I put that in, I want to put a little bit of grease on the shaft, on the 2 points. The middle area here, I don't know if you can tell, but this is a bigger diameter than this. So these two are bigger, and they sit on the bushings, the kingpin bushings in there. So when we have this thing assembled, we're going to, go through this grease zerk and lubricate everything. All right. See, that's how the stops work. Yep, just like that. All righty. So now, get this grease off my hands. I don't want to gum up my nice new paint job. So what we're going to do is take this apart. And down inside of this upper link, I think at one time there was like a felt seal in there, but I have yet to be able to find any information on that or even find it. So in the meantime, I've got a O-ring kit, and I'm going to use an R23 seal. Not a seal, a R23 O-ring down there. We're going to put our keyway in the back here. And so there's the keyway right there. I don't know if you can see it, but I usually like to make sure it's pushed all the way in, and then maybe cheat a little bit, push, since we're going to be putting the arm on from here, I want to have this leading edge just slightly lower, okay, so that it will line up good and not pop out. Make sure, yep, the keyway is staying in there. And then we'll tap this down and then look through the hole here and make sure that we can put our bolt, yep, all the way through. And what that O-ring is going to do is just sit there and make sure that over time dust and dirt don't fall down into the top. I'm going to continue to try to find that felt seal, because that felt seal is probably about twice the thickness, the height of that rubber O-ring. But the O-ring will do until I can find it. And then once we find it, I'll just take this bolt off, pop this back off, and then put the correct seal in there. And then, let's see, these are 11/16. And we're going to tighten this up. And there we go. So now we have our first, we've got our right side done. What I'm not showing is doing the left side, because once you see the one side, you know the other side is happening the same exact way. And everything on that side checked out fine too. So there we have it. We have our steering assembly all back together. One thing I have been able to do over the last couple days is I've coated this with a couple of different coatings of the grease remover. And as you can see, it's starting to really break up some of the thick stuff. I'm going to do a final pressure wash on it, but I'm going to leave the distributor in it when I do that, because I don't want any moisture to run down in the bore where the distributor goes. Once we have this all pressure washed, I'll have to remove the distributor, and we'll probably get to that on the next video. And then we'll clean all the grease that's behind it. But so far, it's looking a lot better. One thing we are going to do to wrap this video up is we're going to remove the sheet metal on the engine. It looks like we're going to be taking the sheet metal off, and it looks like there are 2 bolts here and 2 bolts up the back on each side, and then 2 bolts down here in the front. The 2 down here are 3/4, and these look to be 1/2 inch. Now this headlight, the wire's already been disconnected, so before doing this, you'd want to make sure your electrical is disconnected. On the other side, the headlight is missing and the wiring's completely gone. Also, we're going to need to remove the exhaust from the other side, because on this tractor the exhaust went up. I don't know if I'm going to leave the exhaust going up or if we're going to replace it with exhaust going underneath. Looks like there's two little 7/16 down here. All of these are 1/2 inch. All right, so these bolts are pretty rusted, so I'm got to get the bigger impact out. There we go. And then these 7/16, there's one here and one here. Those have a nut on the back side also. And it just came off. Good. All right. And then up underneath, I just found, right about in here, there's a bolt that bolts this dash area onto the side of this. So it's also a 7/16. All right, so to get to that one, there we go. There we go. Get the little flat washer off of there. And then up under here, yeah. And there we go. If your tractor has the exhaust that comes up here, they bolt it into the side of this. And it looks like this has kind of been sliding off of the engine. So instead of being a perfect 90, it's bent further over. So it comes up and then goes back. And it feels like it's coming off down below on the exhaust manifold. So to get this off, on different tractors will probably be different, but this one has just a regular muffler clamp on it. And there we go. All right, there we go. And then to get these off, although I think it's loose, these are 1/2 inch also. So I got this bolt, the 3/4 inch bolt down here off. And I got all these 1/2 inch bolts and the two 7/16 headed bolts up here. So now I'm thinking if we just rock this thing forward, our exhaust will come off of the exhaust manifold pipe, the head pipe. Yep, just like that. And you can see that it's bent back. This should just go straight up, and you can see it's been kinked. So if nothing else, we'll replace this pipe. But I'm really thinking about maybe putting the lower exhaust, have it go out the back down below. Although, you know, doing row crop work, I don't know if that's really the best thing. So if you have a comment on that, please let me know in the comments. Okay. That comes off like that. Okay. And there we go. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take this old gas tank out. So there are, it looks like 4 9/16 headed bolts. That one, we're going to have to put some heat or something on. Let's see, how about this one? There we go. That one came out. This one's already coming out. There we go. There we go. Maybe the batteries in that little impact gun are getting low. Usually does a pretty good job getting them free. Okay. And then the fuel line, it looks like originally there's a tab with a hole in it. that holds the fuel line, but I don't see where it bolted on. So I don't think we have to take a bolt out of that. There we go. This thing's got quite a bit of gas in it. Let me get my jacket so I don't get my son's new shirt dirty. All right. This would be a whole lot easier if my son was here and not just his shirt. There we go. There we go. And there we go. So next time, we're going to get a little further along with the pressure washing. I'm going to pressure wash this hopefully prior to our next video, and we can get the rest of this engine cleaned up and maybe pop the valve cover off and look to see what the internals of the engine look like. But yeah, so that's what we've got going today. I appreciate you guys stopping by. If this is helping you on your tractor project, or if you're just interested in following along in our path towards our little farm, I appreciate, if you give the video a like, and please subscribe. It would definitely help us out. And ring the bell notifications so that when I have a new video, you can catch that one too. I appreciate your time, and we'll catch you on the next one.